Good morning, everybody. Bonjour. That's hello in Potawatomi. Welcome to Star Nation's organization's main fan page, and you watching a live stream with me, Neshi Locatz. I do a card draw every day. And so I usually try to share that at 10 o'clock in the morning Central Time, but I couldn't be in two places at one time this morning. I also produce a couple of the shows here on Star Nation's radio network. And this morning was the Spiritual Mysteries of Life with Constance Shearwater. She's one of our elders here at Star Nations. And so I was producing her show for her. And so I couldn't be doing my live stream. They call it native live stream. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second, and produce her show at the same time. So that's why we had to do this just a little bit later, an hour later than we usually do. Good morning, Elise. Hey, what'd you think of Connie's show? She had me, and I was laughing because she is just so down to earth, and yet she is so spiritual. And she was talking about having problems making rice and how she's a potato girl. I was just, it just struck me funny because here she is talking about angels and shining your light, and she's getting real and saying that, that she's always had problems cooking rice and she's only a potato girl. Kind of touched my heart because I come from potato country here, and a lot of people don't know that. Is that in Wisconsin, we our number one crop really is cranberries, and the number two crop is potato, and and corn, of course. But a lot of people don't know that is that there's a lot of Wisconsin potatoes because we have so much sand here. So anyway, good morning. Thursday morning, May 31st, last day of May. For those people who live in, upper Midwest, we have something special that goes on in the last few days of May, the first couple of weeks of June, besides high school graduations. This is the time of year that the white-tailed deer have their babies. I know, they have their fawns. And so we have had our place be like a little nursery where we've had fawns born right here on our property. I can't guarantee that's going to happen this year. I haven't noticed anything, but they're so cute. Those little fawns, when they're a couple of days old, and they kind of come out a little bit in the opening. They don't sleep next to their mom, but she is very close, and so sometimes you'll see them running around and playing. And you're thinking, well, where's the mom? Well, the mom is really doing the protection thing, because if a predator gets too close to the baby, she'll take the predator away. She'll say, look at me, and run the opposite direction, right? So anyway, our place has been a fawn nursery before, and so I keep looking out the window to see if there's some movement that we can see. So it's a gorgeous day here. It's not supposed to be as warm. We're supposed to get up into the high 70s, but not 97. Gorgeous day here. The card that I drew this morning, as I was getting mama's shower days. Mornings around here are kind of unpredictable sometimes, and so doing the shower days, it takes a lot out of mom to do those shower days, and so working with some pain management. And when I'm talking about pain management, I'm not talking about necessarily prescription drugs. What I'm talking about are essential oils, flower essences, hands-on healing, those kinds of things. And so, as those healers out there in Star Nation's community, how long sometimes it takes. It takes as long as it takes, right? That spirit is going to work through that. And so they're leading it. And so sometimes mornings can be kind of unpredictable around here. Good morning, Jocelyn. I'm so glad you could be here. I know we're doing this about an hour later than usual. And I was kind of explaining that I was producing Connie Waters' show this morning, Spiritual Mysteries of Life. Here's the card that I drew this morning. Sundance, about self-sacrifice. I get a little bit closer. Take a look at that artwork. It is, as usual, we can see the colors of the medicine wheel in the artwork, but this is a very special ceremony that many of the tribal nations west of the Mississippi do, and in the old days, in the ancient days, and actually it has been brought back out into, I want to say, the public kind of in the last few years. I want to say probably for sure since the late 70s, early 80s. It's not that the ceremonies weren't being done. It's just that they were being done in secret, kind of hidden. Okay. The Sundance is, now I've never been to Sundance, and I don't want to mislead you in that way. I've never been to Sundance. I know a couple of people who have done Sundance, but I've never experienced it myself. And so what I want to share with you today is a little bit of the history and what Jamie Sams has to say, but more importantly, the essence of Sundance and how that we can see the energy flowing through the day, and how that relates to the essence of Sundance and how we can either incorporate it in our life or bear witness to it, right? So with the Sundance, it is one of the 7 gifts that the Buffalo Calf woman brought to the Osheti-Sakoe, the Great Sioux Nation. And all the ceremonies that she brought, all the 7 gifts, lead up to the Sundance. And so for those souls who choose that path to experience their earth walk here, their medicine walk, in order to do the Sundance as the last ceremony that you work towards, is kind of like an intention, that the other 6 gifts have been experienced. So for instance, you've been on a vision quest in Humblecha. You've been put up on the hill. You've done the vision quest. You learned about how to use the pipe. The 6 other gifts that were given, you have to experience and go through. So it's not like you can wake up one morning and decide, I think I'm going to do Sundance this year. And it's usually in July, August. There's many actually that are held throughout the summer and early fall. And so, it's not like you wake up and you say, oh, I think I'm going to do Sundance this July, and we're beginning in June. That just doesn't happen that way. It's a progressive experience, building up toward Sundance. And it's not like you can just go in and just say, I'm going to do Sundance. You actually have to be sponsored. And somebody has to actually invite you in, right? Especially if you're not of that nation. So anyway, it's not a simple task. It's not something that you're just going to go slide into a chair and say, okay, I'm here for Sundance. There's work to it. There's preparation. And the preparation is needed so that you survive Sundance. Because in the Sundance ceremony, they're dancing in the sun, of course, that's Sundance, right? For 4 days. And with no water, with no food. And so you have to prepare your body for that in so many ways. Not just your physical body, but your mental, emotional, and spiritual body has to be prepared as well. And so it's a ceremony that has to have 100% intention and that you are preparing for it. In the past, Sundance is actually very ancient. It's a very old traditional religion held by the Native American and west of the Mississippi. It wasn't brought to the east of the Mississippi until much, much later, more in modern day than in the past. Okay. In 1941, Jamie Sams actually writes this. She says that the Sundance, the United States government had seen Sundance as self-torture. And because they didn't know the purpose or understand the purpose of the ceremony. And so it was banned by the Department of the Interior, which is the part of the U.S. government that has authority over Native Americans. Okay. And in 1941, they banned it. Because, well, number one, they didn't understand it. Number two, they couldn't control it. And so they banned it. And so those who practiced that belief system continued their belief system, but not in the public eye. It was hidden, secret. Okay. Good morning, Judy. Good morning. I'm glad you guys are here with me. Hi, Deanna. Thank you for being here. A Sundance is starting today in Mexico. Yeah. The Osheti Sakoi who received, that's the Great Sioux Nation, who received the 7 gifts from Buffalo Calf Woman, and they're sharing. They have been sharing for quite some time with other indigenous people across Turtle Island, the ceremonies that lead up to Sundance, and for them to be trained to hold Sundance. Now, you have to also know that there's some unsanctioned Sundances going on out there as well. There is a leader, a religious leader. His name is Chief Orville Looking Horse, and he's the 19th generation carrier of the bundle of the white buffalo calf woman, including the pipe. The pipe is the Chinopa. We've covered the Chinopa here a little bit on the card draw in past days. And he actually, if he hasn't given the okay for them to do that, that's what's called unsanctioned. They're not really trained in it. And in order to have a safe, blessed Sundance, it really should be sanctioned, I believe, by the people who have the responsibility of taking care of the original Chinupa, the original bundle. And so yeah, I'm glad that they're doing it. I've never been and I've never participated, but it's a very spiritual ceremony. That's built up over time. I was just explaining that you really have to prepare, and it takes years to prepare to be able to dance in the Sundance. So anyway, the government had banned it since 1941, and from 1941 till 1978, those Native American nations who practiced Sundance could not legally practice their own religion. And it wasn't until 1978 that the government finally allowed that to happen. Now, that doesn't mean that it wasn't happening. It just meant that they couldn't legally do it, okay? That they could actually be arrested for it. So, and it didn't happen overnight either in 1978. It took some time for the local authorities to accept and not harass those who were participating in Sundance. So the purpose of the Sundance is is to allow young warriors to share the blood of their bodies with the Earth Mother. They're actually praying. They're praying for the people. They're praying for a vision. They dance for the health and well-being, spiritual well-being of their people. And so it's a great honor to be able to do that, to have that ability to be in ceremony for your people. And the people are also there. They're there during the ceremony, and they are praying and holding what we would call holding sacred space for them. Everything has been done according to what's been done for generations in preparation of the dance grounds, and the tree that's brought in that represents the tree of life. And the dancers are tethered to the tree of life. It's a self-sacrifice. They're sacrificing in the pain that they're experiencing, right? It's not something that you take lightly. There's great intent with it. So Jamie Sams, what she wrote about Sundance is that she writes that the warriors of the people protect their nations from enemies, loss of courage, and the dark night of the soul when fears take over. That's the spiritual part that they're dancing and praying for their people. There are sun dancers who may not receive a vision during their dance, and so many of the dancers who are able to dance at Sundance, that they've been invited, that they've been sponsored, that they prepared to do this, many of them dance multiple years in a row. And it takes, from what I understand, it takes some time because, what they do is the piercing. Let me show you the picture again. You can see the tethers, that blue line there, and the piercing of the chest. Those, I guess they use cherry wood. They pierce the chest with an awl, and then they slip the cherry wood that's got the tethers attached to it. And toward the end of the ceremony on the fourth day, the dancers dance away from the tree to be able to pull the tether out. And it takes months for the piercing to heal. And so just because they're done dancing that one day of Sundance, that last day, doesn't mean that it's completely done, because now they have to go through the healing process, right? The healing process. And the people take care of them. They make sure that they're taken care of after the dance, during the dance. And so they dance for their people. And this has been going on for generations. 19 generations. This has been going on. That's a long time. Just to wrap your mind around that, how many different 19 generations this ceremony has been danced and the prayers have been said. Jamie Sams writes that the Sundance is in operation again, and the spirit of our people have been restored. That's one of the things that the government has been trying for a really long time to break the spirit of the Native people. And for a long time it was not healthy. It was not healthy to identify with a Native American. That it was during those years that it was really tough. These days it's a little bit different. it has to do with the environment and protecting Grandmother Earth. And in the protection of her, we protect the people, right? And so Sundance has a way of what is called is the self-sacrifice. And it's the blood of the dancer and the sacrifice of their time and their energy to do this dance and the prayers for the people so that the people may be healthy in all ways, right? Jamie Sands goes on to write that the Sundance is not for everyone to experience, but the lessons learned are a beautiful way to understand the balance between male and female, courage and pain, vision and stubbornness, loyalty and love. To sacrifice of oneself is to bring a knowing that the sacrificer is loyal to the people. The ancient ritual is considered a strong act of love. Why did they dance? They danced for their people. They danced for the love of their people. It teaches us how to walk in balance and let go of the parts of ourselves that are only interested in the personal I. Now, if we can look at the essence of Sundance and what the dancers prepared for. They prepared to sacrifice in the Sundance. They danced without food and water for 4 days. Through the piercings, they lost blood. The male-female part has to do with Jamie Sam writes about this. So she's telling us that the pain part, because women don't do the Sundance, that women already know about the self-sacrifice through childbirth. They know the pain and they know of the blood that is given. And so the men, this is their way of being able to do that self-sacrifice through the pain and the blood. But, it's in the preparation too, because in the preparation, they are also giving up things that what we would call lower their vibration, drinking and drugs and, it's a lifestyle change. And sometimes, the essence is what I'm trying to get at is sometimes what we have to do is what is our own self-sacrifice for the good of the people, the good of our community. I think that when we do things to improve our vibration, to get closer to our original vibration that we came in with, that we change the environment around us. And through that, through our vibration, we change our world. And so in other cards, we talked about the peace starts from within, and that when we are at peace, our vibration changes and our environment changes, not just ourselves, but we affect our homes, we affect our communities, we affect our towns, we affect the world, literally, through our vibration. Hey, Amy Daniels. She's saying, wow, just this card's spot on today. Well, good. Excellent. And so it's in that self-sacrifice. What are we willing to give up for our vibration to be as high as it possibly can be, given that we're doing this earth walk, and that we're in a human body. What are we willing to give up? Connie was talking a little bit about this in her show. She was talking about our light shining and what we do to either cover our light or to allow our light to shine. And she was saying, there's things that we have to give up sometimes. Sometimes for her, she says it's chocolate. that her body just doesn't do well with processed sugar. And so, in order to be healthy and to be well, she's had to give up processed sugar, processed food. And so, and so that was one of the self sacrifices that Connie did, so that her vibration is as optimal as possible. And so, if we take in the essence, because come on, we're going to be real here. We are not going to go and participate in Sundance, right? Chances are I am under travel restrictions called a 98-year-old mom. And so I know that I won't be going to support and pray for people during Sundance. I know that. And I haven't been invited either. So in the essence of Sundance, what are we willing to sacrifice for the good of the people? Meaning, how we change our own vibration for the good of the people, not just ourselves, that's included, but for the good of the community. So okay, it's one popped in my head, is not participating in gossip. And you know that we're us humans, for some reason, that is something that gets done around the water cooler at work kind of situation, right? Somebody's talking about somebody else. In the self-sacrifice, when we give up being involved in that, whether we're participating or we're sitting there listening but not saying anything about it and not leaving the conversation, through our quietness, it's taken as an acceptance of it, right? And I'm not saying that we have to diss somebody else and say, you guys are gossipers, I'm out of here. No, it's like you get up and you leave, or you change the subject. Or if you're brave, you would say, you know what? I don't know anything about that situation. I would be guessing. Has anybody asked them? Has anybody said anything to them to find out, what their truth is? I used to do that because, I'm a Sagittarian 3 times. So there's a lot of fire here, and about the arrow and the truth, right? And so in my younger days, in my 20s and 30s, people would start talking about other people. It's like, how do you know that? Were you in the room with them? Were you there? Did you hear them say that or do that? No. And how can you even talk about it? Or if the person comes in and you know how that goes, the conversation stops. And did you know that she said that about you? Now that sometimes is not helpful. I learned that the hard way. But to take them aside and maybe, have a private conversation with them and say that, and sometimes they already know, and they're not going to do anything about it, or they don't know what to do about it. All I'm saying as a suggestion that if there is gossip going on, is that it affects your vibration. So what are you willing to sacrifice for that about gossip? That's just an example. Are you willing to change the subject? Are you willing to remove yourself from it? Because it changes your vibration. And when you change your vibration, you change the vibration of your community. And so, that's the question today, is how does the energy of this card, Sundance, and self-sacrifice, as the dancers of Sundance, their essence of this, they're dancing for their people, the love of their people, and they're willing to sacrifice blood, pain, for the good of their people. Yeah. Yeah, Elise is saying, is it possible I might be an unsanctioned human? Oh, well, you know, aliens are among us everywhere. Judy is saying, don't be an idler of the word. Yeah, exactly, exactly. You know, we have to make choices for ourselves, decisions for ourselves, and sometimes that is setting up boundaries, isn't it? What I know you are kidding, Elise. All right. I was kind of kidding with Connie too after her show. We were chatting a little bit. I was telling her that it was a good show and a couple of things that she had talked about that I thought were really fascinating, and maybe sometime she'll go deeper into it. Um, oh gosh, I don't know how we got on the subject of being about boundaries and how hard it is to set up boundaries with people that you love. And um, the hardest boundaries that we have to set are sometimes with our own family, right? Oh my gosh. I told her, I said, the joke is between Paul and I is that I'm the alien in my family because I'm so different from everybody else. is that I'm the alien, and because I in my own little family with my mom and dad, my brothers, I'm the only one that hugs. Now there's other huggers in the family now too, but in the nucleus part, I'm it. I'm the hugger, and always have been. So I laugh. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's like I'm the alien. I'm the alien amongst us. So the sacrifice, self-sacrifice. Watch how your day unfolds and how the energy flows around you, through you, to you, and taking in the information about the ancient ceremony, the ancient rite of Sundance, and the essence of it is that the warriors are sacrificing of themselves for the good of their people, the people that they love. So what is it that you're possibly going, if you choose, something about your life that you're willing to give up, to sacrifice for the good of your people, changing your vibration so that it's closer to the vibration that you came in with. Yeah, it's not an easy or light question, that's for sure. Judy is saying, I'm also the alien of my big family, and I own that. And they're getting used to it, and they still love me. Yeah, as my family getting used to it, maybe. Do they still love me? I think so. Without taking an inventory of it, I think so. There's some that do and some that don't, and I of course gravitate toward the ones that do, right? Mm-hmm. Sundance. Let's see what Jamie Sam says about the application. She says that the Sundance card asks us to look at what needs to be sacrificed so that the sacredness of our life may be restored. She goes on to say that recklessness and overindulgence can thwart, that's a good word, thwart the abundant life we seek if we do not rid those parts of ourselves that represent our shadow. And, the shadow part, because we all have one, right? We all carry it. And I agree that our biggest growth occurs through our shadow self. That when we face our fears, when we acknowledge that certain things will bring out that shadow, will be the trigger, is to look at those, to learn from it, to understand it, to master it. So it doesn't control you, you control it, right? Whatever it is. She goes on to say, your shadow is always ready to be sacrificed. If you have learned from dancing with the darkness of ignorance, you will learn that it is no longer sacred in your life. Then the sacrifice becomes your truth. If you use less paper, for instance, in order to save the rainforest, you make the paper sacred. In all instances, you are being asked to give up something in order to stand in the truth of your convictions. Remember, self-sacrifice is not denying your needs, but rather the self's decision to willingly sacrifice limitation through action. And I think that's the key part there, is the action piece, because we can talk about it and talk about it and talk about it, much like, oh my gosh, scratch that. I was going to say, just like Congress. Shh. Delete that part. Is that the action piece? The action piece. You know, if you're not going to be involved in gossip, then take action. How is that going to happen? If you want to be involved in the protection of Grandmother Earth, and you decide that you're no longer using plastic straws, certain food containers, that kind of thing, what is your action behind it? Are you going to ask one of your favorite restaurants to not use plastic straws? Could they please order paper straws instead, or not use a straw, or take your own? You know, what is your action piece to the sacrifice? Because Sundance is all about action. They don't talk about, I'm going to Sundance, or I'm going to Sundance and never go. For those people who are actually dancing, they're taking action in the sacrifice. So that's really, really interesting. Good question is, what is your action behind to take you to the self-sacrifice? And like I said, you know, there's a reason why this card came up for us today. So what is your day? How is it going to unfold? How are you going to notice it in your day today? Are you the one who's doing the actual self-sacrifice and for the people, raising your vibration? Or are you bearing witness to it? It's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds for you. Here is the poem that Jamie Sams writes for this card about Sundance. Within the sacred arbor, the warriors dance the sun, tied to the tree of life until the dancing's done. They feel the pain of woman so the people may live, seeking medicine visions as of their pain they give. She writes really good poems. Seeking medicine visions as of their pain they give. Sundance. You know, and if you ever receive the invitation to go to Sundance, to witness it, to help hold a sacred space, you know, I would say go. I would. That'd be road trip. If I could do it, I would do it. And Elisa's talking to Judy. She's saying, awesome, Judy. We love you too. And we do. We do love Judy. Elisa's going on to say, I'm the only somewhat normal one in my family. Scary. But, you know, normal definition. I almost said normal is relative. I would say that pun would be intended. Normal is relative. So with that, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. You know what? I'm going to start calling the last Thursday of the month Star Nation's Elder Day, because we start out with Connie Vodder's show in the morning. She's one of our elders. And tonight is the Mystery School with Orchard and Carl Franklin. There are other elders here at Star Nations, and they're on at 8 p.m. Eastern. Go to their fan page, the Mystery School fan page, and that's where you can find them. We'll be sharing, of course, their live show once it starts. But and I get to produce their show tonight too. So I just love sitting and listening to the elders, their stories and their life experiences, and what they found to be true with the ancient information and how they incorporate into their everyday lives. It's stuff that you can't get in a public school system. You can get it through Hogwarts or something like that. But yeah, I hope you guys can join us tonight for their show. I think it's going to be a good one. And with that, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you back here at 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning. Yep, on Friday, June 1st, tomorrow. Oh my gosh. Elisa's saying, I love it. I'll be 70 this fall. Really? No, not 70. I didn't know that. Hey, and it's Polly Jo LeBay's birthday today, just so you know. Yeah. Wish her a happy birthday. Community love, right? All right. Enjoy your day. And Baba Mina, until we meet again, and that'll be tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. right here for the next card draw. We'll see you guys later.